Hi all. So welcome to another day on this JMeter training. As a recap, so we are continuing with JMeter elements, sub-elements, and their attributes in detail. And so till now we have discussed till here with output controller. Now I'll proceed from this switch controller. Okay. So switch controller, uh, name itself says switch. Switch means jumping from one transaction to another transaction. That is what switch controller. Okay. Now, mm, so this switch controller is just analogous to switch case programming construct or switch case programming language, where so it works on switch case statement of any programming language like C or Java. So uh, first, let us just understand that. Right. So do you see this? Yeah. C, Java, everywhere this is there. Okay. So what happens in switch is there will be one input. Like let us say suppose this. So suppose day equal to 3. Now switch day, right? So this is the input. Now based on that input, there are different cases. Case means uh, different execution flow. Like suppose if the input is this, then we have to execute something this. If input is different, we have to execute this something different. If input is something different, then we have to execute something different, right? So case one, case two, case three, right? Like that, multiple cases. So depending on the input, uh, different cases, out of so many different cases, one case will be executed. So that is switch block. So same way we have switch controller, and switch controller also, like it's jumping. Uh, Suppose we have used switch controller. So in that inside that, if we keep multiple transactions, okay. Now depending on the input, any of the particular transaction will be executed. So depending, so conditional based actually, because switch case itself is a condition, right? The input is the condition, correct? So depending on the condition, whatever transaction you have kept, anyone will be executed. So that's what how it works. Like it works same as switch case statement of any programming language. We will see. Uh, it executes any one of its child element after matching the child name or index number with configured switch value. Switch index number starts from 0. If it is left blank, by default, it always takes the 0th index. So we'll see first. Actually, there is a problem in my system, I think, today. I'm not able to hear the voices that is coming from system. I got it now. When this recording I just started, but it will announce, okay, recording I just started, but I'm not able to hear. So I think there is. That's why all of you guys voice I cannot hear. So anything if you have, just type that in chat. Mm. Okay. So So as usual, today we'll just see overview. There is one more special use case how it works that we will see when we're discussing about coding that time. Okay. So we'll just see how it works. Let's switch. Yes. So I'll add a switch controller here. Yeah. So what it does, understand? See, this is switch controller, and inside that, suppose we have kept some transactions. So let us say 5 transactions. Right. Now what it will do here, we have to give an input and switch value, and the input that we give will be the child name, the child name or index number, and index number always starts with 0 here. So either child name or index number. So yeah, child name or index number, and index number starts with 0. So and like in this example here, like as we have seen that this is the input, and input is the condition. Based on that, any one of this will be executed, right? So here also same way, this is the input. Whatever input you will give, based on that, any one of this will be executed. So a real scenario I'll be showing after in coding section, not now. Today we'll just see how it works. Simple. So for an example, like let us say that this is the child. It's child. So inside this transaction, whatever we have, inside this controller or inside this element, whatever we have kept, those all are children of this, right? So child. Now anyone, suppose this is child name, complete name. If I copy and put it here, exact name you have to do. And suppose I'll run it for 2 users also. So now what will happen? Both user will choose this one only. So we'll see. Again, log in. Let's keep it in serious issues. Yesterday only we generated. Today again it's been frustrated. Everyday generating new user is like giving a headache. Like we generate there is no other thing. I could have removed that login transaction, but okay, since it is in flow, you just need 10 users. So fine. So did you see what happened? Even we ran for one user or two user. So execution happens like this. This got executed. This till login, right? So both users executed till login. Now execution entered in switch control. When it entered in switch controller, out of 5 elements, we have given the name of this, correct, in here in this switch value, right? So both has executed only this, both, and then they came out of this loop or this control. Then they executed this PS06 and sign. This all I have disabled for the fast execution. But yeah. So you got the understanding. Now see, we cannot give the name because it's not a feasible scenario giving the name. Name can be anything. So better we play with the number. So numbering starts with 0, index number. Okay. So now whatever element that we have in switch controller, always remember the first element will have index equal to 0. Second element will have 1. Third element will have index 2. Fourth element will have 3. Fifth element will have 4. It's like that. Okay. So now suppose if I give 3 here, 3, or 2 here, 2. So it means that index 2. Index 2 means 0, 1, and 2. So this will be executed by both the users. You can see that select T3, select cat. Both the users execute. Even it is 1000 users also, it will be same. Now, when this can be used, right? So see, it can be used when suppose you want to execute. We have 4-5 transactions are there. So this transaction will act as a scenario, means cases, different cases, right? Just to understand it. So different cases are those transactions. Now, depending on your input over here, you want to execute these cases, which are transactions, right? So suppose the input is something, so I want to execute this transaction. If the input is something, I want to execute this transaction. Understand? If the input is something else, I want to execute this transaction. If you want to do like that, then we will be using switch control. Understand? And this inputs, how it will change. So there is one scenario I'll tell how to change the inputs, because input will be dynamic, cannot be fixed. We do not know what input will come. So, but let us say there are some range of inputs, correct? And depending on those range of inputs, any of this transaction needs to be executed, correct? So that is when this will come handy. Or sometime let us say you can do like that. Suppose first user needs to execute this, second user needs to execute this, third user needs to execute it. We let us say we are running for 5 user for an example, and I need that first user first transaction, second user second, third user third, fourth user fourth, fifth user fifth. That time also you can use this kind of switch controller, right? You can just play with the indexing. For first user, you can pass indexing 0 here. For second user, you can pass indexing 1 here. For third user, you can pass indexing 2 here. And they will execute their own transaction. And how to pass this varying indexing? So from CSV, right? You can, in the CSV file, we can create a one more variable column, suppose index, suppose number, and separated by comma. And I can give a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. And this variable called index, I can copy and put here in parameterized form, like dollar flower braces variable name and flower braces. So that time, like how we know how data is written from CSV. 0 for first user 0, second user 1, third user 2, fourth user 3, it will come. And respectively, they will peak different. So this also we can do. But the more common scenario is the first one, which we say that depending, suppose there are range of inputs or condition, and depending on that ranges, we have to select or this transaction needs to be executed anyway, whichever it's happening. Okay. So that time we will use switch control. So we'll see that one real-time example also. Then and next thing is if you leave it blank, okay, means if the value or if we do not give anything, if it is blank, so that time it always takes the 0th index by default. So possible examples, as I said, you can pass children element name, but that is not feasible. So we can pass index number. Index number can be passed randomly using a random function, or suppose, as I said, if you want to pass the indexing for each user from CSV also we can do. Just now I told how to, right? Or there is one use case that based on some condition or some certain cases, we want to execute different transactions, which is more realistic, right? So we'll talk this later on. So that is switch controller. Then we have if controller. Again, if controller also works on if block or if a statement of any programming language. Okay. So how we have this so very simple. Ifs are very simple. So you can see, suppose there is a number equal to 5. Now, if that number is greater than equal to 0. So if it is true, right? If it is true, then only this thing will be executed. But if that is false, this thing will not be executed. Right? Is it as simple as that? Right? So if it's just one time checking that if the condition is true, execute it, or if the condition is false, do not execute. Right? So this if controller also works on the same principle. Here also it evaluates true and false. Now, if the condition that we put in if controller is true, then whatever child or transaction that we keep inside if controller will be executed. Okay, executed. And if that condition is false, they will not be executed. So we'll see about them. Okay, so to make this item if control and compare to the like that side if okay. So one example, right? See, very simple example that you want to make a condition that if login is getting executed properly, then only execute these all transactions. Otherwise, directly go ahead and execute sign out. Suppose this is not that much correct because if login will not happen, then sign out how it will happen. Okay, so forget about that. Somehow I'm trying to make the scenario. So think like that. That they you want that there is a condition, and if that is true, then only execute some further transaction. Otherwise, do not execute those transactions. It's like that. So I'm trying to make that and make you guys understand. So here we are doing like suppose login is happening, then only or you can say that if login is happening and if that image or something or welcome message is coming properly, whatever. So that time only execute these all transactions. If otherwise do not execute and directly do sign if that is not that. So this so in that case, what will happen? All those transactions that we need to execute based on condition, right? That will keep inside if controller. And now in if controller, here we have to write that condition. Okay, here we have to write that condition. So this condition can be anything. How you make, we'll see different conditions, right? So for an example, I have made okay, this is very simple. So like just for understand some mathematical evaluation we can do. Like suppose 3 equal to 3, 3 greater than equal to 3 less than equal to. This 3 is some number, okay, some number. Or uh, let us say suppose this one 3 greater than equal to 3 is 2. Right? So suppose I'll run this. We'll see okay. So 3 is greater than equal to 2. Condition is correct. Means true. So do you see this transaction which are inside the if controller are getting executed? But what if it is false, right? So I'm making 3 is less than equal to 2. Now it's false. So now it's since it is false, they will not be executed. See, after login, since that condition is false, so none got executed and directly control of execution came here. Sign out, which is outside. Actually, sign out is outside. So that we have to think. These all are inside if control. See, and it executed sign. So this is how it works. Now the condition that you have to decide. I can explain few conditions, real time conditions, but what you want that depends on you. So one example is like we can put. Suppose you want to compare two inputs, and based on that input comparison, right? You want to execute those transactions. So that we can do. So let us say that there is one variable, uh, some variable, other variable. Yeah. So we have some variable 11 and other variable 9, right? So these two are variables. And the value for this variable, I'm just keeping as a hard coded. But let us say you are extracting uh, from any of these mm, requests, right? So one example I'll tell you, one real time example. Suppose there was one application, okay, and there were multiple transactions in that, right, to complete that business flow. Okay. Now, what was there that after doing some transaction, we were landing on a page of that application. Now, on that page, there was a special number. Some number was there. Expected number used to be displayed. Now we have to match that number. Means if that number is there, then only we should go ahead and execute other corresponding transaction. But if that number is not there, then we should not execute those corresponding transactions. Correct. Directly we can do sign out, or we can send some error message like that. So how we will do that? So this is where if controller will. So when we will be coming to that page, like some request will be there, right, and it will be returning this response, correct? So from that response, we can extract that number using regular expression, right? Extract. And then we can store that in a variable, and that we can compare with another value, which is supposed to be that, okay, this is expected. So compare both. And that we can put inside if that condition block, right? And this all transaction which needs to be executed based on that condition should go inside if block, right? Now here that condition we can check, right, like this. So this is how this is one huge real-time use case I'm taking. So that time this will come. So what I've done, I'm hard coding that one variable and another. But in real time, you can extract this value from some of the maybe some transaction, and then you can compare them here. And based on that comparison, this all will be executed. Understand? Very simple nothing. So what is the value of some variable 11 and other variable 9? What is the condition we have? So some variable is 11 less than equal to 9, which is wrong. Correct means it's false. So obviously, you see, this will not be executed. The transaction which are there inside if controller will not. So we'll directly log in and sign out. If it was true, then they must have executed. Correct. Uh, like that. Fine. So like that, you can do multiple comparisons. You can do like single multiples like this. This is single, this is two. So this one what we discussed, right? We can even do multiple comparison, means two statements. And in two statements there are or and is there, and or. Correct. Yes. So I'll we'll make this also. Right. So let us say that all of this transaction I have kept inside if, and here I am writing multiple conditions. So like this for an example, two conditions. Earlier we have seen single condition. This is single one. And this one is multiple, two. This is one part and this is another. Now in two also, one Boolean rule that we have to remember. Right? So that has nothing to do with JMeter. It's a programming logic. So you remember, see, there are two types. Either and is there or is there. So when it is and, remember, when it is and when first part is true and second part is true, so it is true, right? When first part is true and second part is false, so it is false. Remember. When first part is false and second part is true, then it is also false. And when both is false, first part is false and second part is also false, then it is obviously false. So when it is and, then in only one case, whole evaluation is true. And in three cases, it's false. Okay, so that is how when two conditions we use, it goes. Okay, so this is the rule. And in OR case, the OR means pipe in programming language. Two pipes is OR. So when it is OR, right? So in OR case, it's reverse actually. In OR case, when first part is true or second part is true, obviously it is true. When first part is true or second part is false, that is also true. And when first part is false or second part is true, that is also true. In only last case, when both are false or first part and second part both false, then it is finally false. So in this OR case, here in three cases, out of four outputs, four possibility, in three possibilities true, and here it's in only one possibility is false. But in AND case, remember, in AND case, in only one case it was true, and both were true, right? So this is how this logic works. This is programming logic. It's nothing to do with JMeter. This is just additional information here. So what I'm saying is that not only one condition you can check, you can check two conditions also. Okay, you can give and for and condition or double pipes for ors, right? And this value you can bring depending on from where you want to bring and compare, right? You can compare and so this is the logic. This is the logic, right? And based on this logic, whether this logic is true or whether this logic is false, the things that are inside this you will be keeping, they will be executed or they will not be executed. Okay, that it's like that simple as it is. So for an example here, I made like number of user equal to needed users and loop count equal to needed loop count. So this is just for an example purpose I made, like number of user is 5 and needed user is 5, loop count is 5 and needed loop count is 5. So all is 5, right? So it means that 5 equal to 5 and then this is also 5 equal to 5. So both parties true, right? True. So output will be true. So you will see those all will be executed, which we have kept inside this. Right? All are getting, but I'll just stop. But any one, suppose this needed loop count, I'll do 4. 4. Now, now what is the condition? Condition is 5 equal to 5. So this part is true, and loop count is 5, but needed loop count is 4. So this part is false. So output will be false, right? So they will not be executed if I run it now. See, I'll be clicking here, but nothing is happening, right? So like that. Okay. So this is one more example where multiple two different conditions, whether it is and or we can do. Now some real case. Hmm. Okay, now in real time, okay, we can do two types of comparison. One is integer, and one will be the strings, which is word or characters, right? So when it is string, oh no, sorry, when it is integer, then comparison is straightforward. Whether it is variable or whether it is value, right? So integers are always, there will be no quotes. Quotes will not be required. But when you are dealing with the string, whether it is the variable or whether it is the value, we should have the double quotes. Okay. Meaning of that is like this one, this example that we used there, correct, right? Or this example. So if this value for this all variable is integer value, integer, then it will go like this, simple, very simple. But if the value for this variable are string, then this should be in double quotes. So I have made here. This is integer comparison. This is a variable which have integer in that. Okay. So obviously, right, it's going, it's good. But now this is a string. This is a variable in which string value is there. So that time double quotes. So one example we'll see in real time. That's one. So let us say that here, the same thing what I told one, like that the application, and when we are coming to a page, the expected number is there. Right? If that expected number is there, then only proceed ahead with the execution. Otherwise, sign out. So the same thing here we will do. Similar, not exact, but similar. So let us say that suppose in login, you remember we have page, and like we have 10 page for an example. So this is same I'm making relation with that same example which I'm discussing. So in that case, you can extract that value and then do the comparison, right? Here I'm trying to do the same thing, little bit different. So let us say 10 matches are there. Now requirement is that let us say that if 10 matches are coming, then only proceed ahead with the execution. Otherwise, do not proceed. Then how will do that? Correct. We're getting that when login is happening, understand. Now at the login page, if total match are 10, then only you book. Otherwise, you do not book, directly do the same. Understand? So this is a kind of realistic scenario coming. So when login is happening, after login, if total match count is 10, then only we should go ahead and do these transactions. Otherwise, directly we will jump to sign out. Right? So this is a conditional based execution. Okay, so how we'll do that? So this is where we will bring if controller and do a condition check and do that. Now in this case, how we'll solve that? So see, match count is 10, but how we will come to know how much is the match count, right? There is a, what is the way to do that? So the way to do is that is like we have to do here -1. When we do -1 here, you know that what will happen. This variable will become an array variable, and there will be a self-created variable called cpet match nr, right? Match nr, which will tell the total number of match counts. We will see. So that we have to use a sampler called Roxa. Oh, wait. So in debug sampler, see, there is a cpet. The default value of cpet will be cpet not found, right? And then here there will be a variable called cpet match nr equal to 10, right? 10. So this variable will copy and put it here. Dollar floor basis variable floor basis close equal to support 10, right? Because the match nr we do not know, right? Whatever it comes. Now condition is only if it is 10, then only. So it can, maybe let us say that for an example, if it is varying, so depend, right? Match nr can be different. Suppose it is 8, suppose it is 7, we do not know. Only when execution happen, then only will come to know, right? This is, see, this I'm making a hypothetical condition. Okay, in real time for our application, it is always 10. So do not get confused. Think it like that, that it is changing, or when we choose pet, like when you choose a fish, so that time suppose this is 4 and it is dog is 6. So think something like that, right? So I want to be specific, like only if it is 10, then only we should proceed. If it is somewhat other, we will not proceed. So we will use this mechanism, cpet match and 10, and then we will compare. Okay, and this is integer, so it will go like this. Right now, next thing in this cpet, if you see, if we are making this variable as an array variable, so the default value of cpet will be cpet not found. So when we are passing that here, so here what is he passing? That cpet not found is passing. So we have to make some change here as well. Right? We have to pass the value here, right? Because whatever we are extracting, we are storing here. But that only works when we give here either 0 or a number 1, 2, 3, whatever. But now it's minus. So when -1, the default value is this. Right? So how we will solve that? I will pass the value here in cpet. It is something we have to pass. So, I think I have explained this or no? Okay. So in this case, what we will do? There are self-created variables, and each value, that variable will become an array, and each value will be stored like cpet underscore 1 underscore 2 underscore 3 underscore 4, right? So we'll pick randomly, but how we'll do? That's what I'm asking. Suppose cpet 1, right? This is self-created variable is CPET 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So suppose you are passing this CPET underscore 1 here in parameterized form. So now it will only take fish, right? Fish, because CPET underscore 1 is fish. So for all user it will take fish. So this is not good, right? We want all 10 to come here randomly, but all 10 should come. Let us say 5. We have 5 items. So how we will solve this? P function. No, how P function? First of all, here we can pass a random in a range. So instead of 1, we can generate a value 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, right? So it will automatically become CPET underscore 1 or underscore 2 underscore 3, right? Like that. But even that also I will do, right? Because parameterization within parameterization is not supported. Random function from 1 to maximum. Yeah, that is correct. But will it work? How we will give that? Parameterization within parameter. Remember that concept. So see, many things are internally related. That's why we do like this. We got this idea. V function parameterization within parameters. Still not getting. So something came in mind or not? Um, so now let's see. This is one. Now for one, suppose I want to generate a random number. So for that, what I'll do? I'll go to here random function. Suppose 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Generate. This is the function. Now, what do we want to do? We want to, instead of this one, we want this, right? This. This is what we want. Instead of one, this will be. And automatically any number will be generated and it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So if it is CPET 1, CPET 1, CPET 2, CPET 3, so correspondingly, they will pick the values, right? 4, 5, whatever, correct? But the main problem is this is not supported. So this is where we discuss one concept, V function. So now we have to enclose this. So enclosing, how it works, we have to just first copy this variable name, first variable. So this variable name only simply we have to copy. Then go to functions tab, choose V function, put it here, generate, then come here, put it here. Right. Now understand. Now instead of this one, it's a random, copy and put it here. Right, like this. Now we'll copy. So understand, actually approach is same. The way to do is different. Okay, approach is same. Now I will test this with this. Now we'll see. It failure is because of assertion. It's going good. It's going good. Fine. Assertion failure is going to update the assertion. Same value we have to pass in assertion. We are verifying the assertions. But there I have written a code. So that code is creating for the time assertions. Not catching. Okay, this is wrong. Wrong, wrong. Oh. We will disable this. Ignore. So now, so see, now it's working because when login is happening, right? That time the extraction is working. Extraction is doing -1, and because of that, it is checking how many match NR. Then control is coming here, and it's checking okay, CPET match NR equal to 10, which is correct, right? Here in debug sampler, you can see it's correct, right? So it's correct when this is true. Then these all are getting executed. You can see here, and here value is also passing because we did that change. Right? It's passing properly because here we did that v function. So this is how sometime script this thing also we have to tweak depending on the input. So you're getting the idea, right? How from where what you will take, how to take, how the things will be controlled. This is more tricky than what I was explaining. The thing that explain like in middle that number is there. So that was very simple. You have to extract that using regular expression and if controller in that just put that variable equal to what value you want to compare and execute the rest of the transaction. Otherwise, sign out, right? But in this, we bought match NR, correct? And because of that, we have learned some other thing also. Like if you are doing match NR, obviously your value will not pass. Then how we will pass the value? So this is more good compared to mm, that example. That example is straightforward. And in the same way, if it fails, right? If match NR is not 10, then obviously it will. That time. I will come to that. Yes, the cart example will be coming to that. No, the cart example will be in while control. Okay, that is a different scenario that can be asked in interviews. But here, that what you are saying that is also good. We can do, uh, but that same cart example is extended in while controller in a different. There, you have to add. Suppose cart value is not 100 or not $500, then keep adding the products. Then how we will do that? Okay, fine. If it is less than $500, okay, sign out, easy. But now we want card values equal to a more than $500. Till then, you have to keep the products adding in the cart. Understand? So that time we'll talk about. So this is one. Then what I made some use cases. Next one is about title. The string comparison. So we did integer comparison, right? This was integer comparison. Now we'll do string. So in this example, uh, we are going to do a string comparison. So the scenario for that is like suppose on login, okay, when login is happening, so there is a page title. Understand? There is the title. Uh, Title, suppose this zip it's to demo. It's a string, like words, combination of word or character. So we want that if it is coming, means let us there will be expected value and then there will be what the value is coming, right? So my expectation is that JPEG demo will come, but whether it is coming or not, that we have to verify, right? So either you can suppose this is expected. So this is a string, so you can hard code it here, but you have to keep in double quotes. Remember, like this. Previous example is not. Previous example we did here integer. So these were integers, so no double quotes required. And this number either you can hard code it or you can store that in another variable and bring it like here, like how we have done here, two variables, right? Like that you can do, or uh, hard code it, hard code it. So same way, currently this I am doing as a hard code. So this variable is hard coded because this, but it is a string, so it has to be in double quotes. Right. So this is the desired value or expected value. But what value come, we do not know. So that we will be extracting. Right. So using extractor, you can, I have made it, I'll just show you. So this extractor will extract out the title. Right, you see. This is, it will come, that is for sure. But think like that, you can take this with any separate example, right? Like, okay, that welcome message is coming or not, right? On login, you can verify, right, whether welcome message is coming or something is coming on. And based on that, you have to do the execution. Think like that, right? So we have done with title, and title is a string. Why I'm doing that? So that we have idea of a string. Now see, this is this is a stored. This is a string getting stored in a variable. Now this is a string variable. That is fine. But important thing is here we have to also give double quotes for that. That variable will go in double, because string comparison always happens in double quotes. Okay, whether it is equal to or dot equal to or whatever. Right? So that is that's what I have written here. So now you know it will work. You got the idea. Or the same hard coded thing we can store it in a separate variable, and this we will copy and it here in parameterized form like this. This also we can. So now you do. No, sorry. Now you know. Obviously, it will execute, right? So now what will happen that once login happens, right? So it will try to extract the title, and then control will come to the if controller, right? Then it will check what is the title coming after extracting, and what is the expected value that you are giving, whether they are same. If it is same, okay, this will be executed. If it is not same, then this will not be executed and it will jump to here, sign out, because sign out is outside here. So what these are inside. Suppose I'll change just for, suppose I am giving expected is JPEG store only JPEG store. So now this time it will fail because expected is JPEG store, but output is coming as JPEG store demo. So basically didn't matched, right? So you see login and then sign. This didn't got executed. Okay. So this is how string comparison also can do. Next, what is there? Now, now comes another concern related to this. First thing, uh, you can do like this also. This is also one scenario you can add. Suppose you have a list of users, right? And you do not want to execute for a particular user. Means what? Like let us say that this scenario. Suppose this all transaction, I don't want to execute for a particular user, right? So that time you can write it here. This condition, the username not equal to that particular username. So what will happen? Those transactions will not be executed for that particular user. Right? That also you can do. Fine. So that's what I have written here. That some more like if shopping cart is empty, so check. You can make a check condition whether shopping cart is empty or not. Then if it is empty, add execute the add to product scenario, right? Like that. So this transaction you can keep inside if controller, and based on the empty condition, we can execute that. Right? Suppose account balance is 0, then do uh, the wire rebalance transfer. One example like that. Right? Salary, suppose something salary greater than equal to 1000, or like card value that you said, same thing. Card value greater than equal to 100, like that. But so depending on a given condition, a given action is taken. That's it. Very simple. Now, one important thing you have to understand is, see, uh, this is some tips are there. We'll talk about tips. See, if you are like little poor on logical conditioning, how it works, right? So this we have our network tab, and network tab this console is there. So console also works as a kind of programming ID. A small, like suppose I'll write here 2 equal to 2. So it tells true, right? You see. So little bit help you can take from here if you quick help. Nowadays, so many things came, but or suppose it's there already. You see, ABC equal to ABC string, so it's true. But same thing if I write, if see Flipkart equal to Amazon, it's false, right? Actually, this I have already written. From there, it is coming. 1 plus 3 is 4, right? So this console is kind of this is multiple conditions. So you can write, and so this console is a small. Okay, what happened? I'm disconnected. Oh, maybe I pressed something and I went on mute. Okay, so I was talking that we have a console in our developer tool which work as a kind of programmatic little bit stuff. So if you want a quick stuff, right, that supposed to equal to 2, this double quotes string we have to give, right? Double multiple condition, maths. You can type here and you can get the result. Suppose here I'll write a string called xyz equal to xyz. It will throw unexpected like error, right? See, both are same, but they are string, and string should be in double quotes. Do you see? So like this. So some tips or some help you can take from here, right? Like that. So this is one tips, and in this area, okay, whatever you are writing here, do not try to copy paste from somewhere else. Always try to type it manually. That is much better. Now we'll understand more important thing related to this. See, the condition that is written in this area, you understand, that has to be enclosed with a function. Okay. Now you'll ask me, what is this? So see, whenever we will add a if controller, then I'll show you, of course. Whenever you will add if controller, by default, it will look like this. Do you see? And here a check mark will be there. Okay. And here they have also written something like for performance, it is advised to check interpret condition as variable. This should be checked. And by default, it is checked. When it is checked, do you see it's not in red? And but for now, whatever example I have shown you, actually, I have shown you by unchecking it, and then it becomes like this. Whatever example I have shown, you can see here this one or this one, whatever. Okay. So why I have shown you that, because that time I wanted you guys to understand how this works. But going forward, we do not write like that. Why? Because whenever you use if controller, it will be like this, auto checked. And when you write your condition here, it will not work. I'll tell you. Suppose for an example, this example. This example, right? Oh, there it is. So this same example, it was just working, or still it is working. You can see. It's working, correct? It's working. There is no problem, it's working. But the same thing, the default one, like which comes like this, right? This is the default view. And when you, this is the default when it comes, and when you write like this, the same thing doesn't work. So I'll show you. So same thing which worked will not work now. See, directly after login, sign out happened on, it didn't work. But there is no problem with this, right? Again, if I uncheck this, and same thing if I again run, see again, it will work. See, login, then select a pet. All is happy. Okay. But again, if I put a check mark, which is the default one, and this will be as it is, so the same thing will not work. See, login and sign. It didn't work. It didn't evaluated one. So what we have to do is, because and you cannot uncheck this also. I have shown you by unchecking because that was a basic thing we were understanding. But as I said that when you add it, it is always checked, right? So default is checked. Now understand what we have to do in that case. We have to always, here also they have written, if you see, that use a function like gxl3 or groovy to evaluate try true and false. So you can uncheck this and write your condition and test it. Now when you see that okay, it's working, it's tested, then you have to put a check mark on that. That is the default way. Here also it is written. And then this condition that you have written, you have to copy that, go to the functions tab, choose a function like GXL3 will be there, Groovy will be there here, GXL3 is there, JavaScript will be there, or Groovy will be there here somewhere. Groovy. Okay. G, G here, G here, Groovy is there. Anyone. Okay, even JavaScript also. Suppose you choose. Put it here. Control V, same thing. Generate. And now come and put it here. Like this. Right? And now I'll run it. So now I'll see it will work. It's working or not? It's working. So if it and if it this will be false, it will obviously it will be false. But if we do not enclose this right with the function, whatever you are writing, it will not be evaluated. Not evaluated. So very important. So we have to write like this. Okay, going forward. Here at least in if controller we have this option, but in our while controller, which is another controller, which we'll be learning after this, which is also very important controller, more very important controller. Here that feature is not there. Nothing, no interpret like this interpret or what. At least here you can uncheck and write your condition and test, and then you can check it, and then you can convert. That is simple in if. But in while, no, nothing. You have to write in enclosed form only. Enclosed means surrounded. Okay, this is called enclosed form, right? So that should be a practice. Same example with this one. This example here also. This I have shown you as a by unchecking, but actually this should not. This is not a correct way. Correct way is you have to put a check mark here, and then this you have to enclose it. Otherwise, it will not work. See, same thing here. This one also I'll tell you. Currently, this expression is good. I have unchecked this, and it will work. Right? It's working, right? It's working. But if I put a check mark in the default mode, so same thing will not. See, directly login and then send. It is not evaluating only. So what we have to do, right? Just copy this, go to functions tab, choose GXL3, Groovy, JavaScript, whatever, paste it, generate, and remove this and put it like this. And say now it will work. Correct. So this would be the best practice going. This is how you should be writing. Next, one more example. Okay. So there is one more example which comes very handy. And that example is Okay. So this example is very handy. Right. Uh, it in real time also this is useful, and that is this one. Uh, there is a button called use status of last sample. So it can be asked in interview question as well. So what it does is like when you add if controller, so there is another button. So this we know we do not have to do anything with this. By default view is this will be selected and you write the condition here and it should be enclosed with the function. You got it right. Okay. Then there is this one, this button. When you click on this button here, one word will be added. This word. So I'm clicking on this. Do you see it got added? So when I clicked on this, this word got added. Now what this word says that it can be used to test if last sampler was successful or not. Last sampler. Sampler means request. So last request. Now this when it can be used, like when the you are thinking like uh, suppose you are firing a transaction, right? You are doing a transaction, and in that transaction, whether it is one request or two requests or multiple requests, there are the last request. Okay, the last request, if it is successful, then only execute the corresponding transaction. Getting the point? So that time we can use this. So it happens in scripting. You can use this as a condition. Sometimes dependency will be there, right? Correct. That you are firing a request and whether it is successful or not, I do not want to execute the other transaction. So that time either you can use RSA. A problem with RSA is, yeah, that this came in my mind also. Correct. So you can say that we have RSA to stop result status action and level. Full result will be stopped. Correct. But RSA will stop the whole test, or it will stop the whole that user only. For an example, let us say, suppose here RSA is used, right? And we have used stop the thread means stop that particular user. So RSA does what? If the this particular request fails, so it will stop that particular user completely. But in this condition, which if this one which I'm talking here, we want to say that if the last request, last sampler, it is saying last, right? You see here, it's written here last sample, last sample. So if the last request is okay, okay means successful, then only execute this. If it is not successful, not successful, then do not execute this and go to some other transaction. Right. So here stopping is not happening. See, so that is the difference. Okay, getting the point. RSA will directly stop, whether it will stop the test or whether it will stop the user. But here actually stopping is not happening. Here either you are including this transaction or you are escaping that transaction or escaping and going jumping it to getting the point. So that time this will come in picture. So it happens sometime in our script when we prepare, we have to give this that dependency will be there. So like corresponding request you do not want to fire. Let us say that if this request is failing, so I do not want to fire this. I want to directly jump to another request. So that time how we will do that? Getting the point. You cannot use RSA. No? RSA will directly use stop the user. He will not jump. Understand the difference? Okay. So that time we can use that. Right? We can we can use this and So that I'm just making example. So this whole suppose this dependency for an example we have made, like login, two requests is there. So let us say this first request, second request will only fire if the first request, last sample is okay. Means if this is okay, then it will fire. If this is not okay, this will not fire, and it will jump to another transaction. Right? Stopping is not happening. Understand? Same way here we have made like this last sample. Okay, last sample means, see, last sample means immediate previous one. Okay, so where I'm applying this, so before this, this is one. Suppose I have applied this here. So before that, this is the last sample. Okay, last. So now suppose this all I have kept inside if controller, and here I have written last sample is okay. Means this request, if it is okay, okay means green, right? Success. So it will execute all this. If this is not okay, it will not execute it and jump to sign. Okay, so understand the difference between RSA and this. Okay, a result status section handler will not allow the jumping. It stops, right? And those we apply when the depend when we are extracting a value and that value we are passing in next request. So in that case, this request is supposed purely dependent on this, correct? So if it is this is not successful, stop this. Fine. So we have applied the RSA. That is separate scenario. This scenario is very dedicated. Okay, here you are jumping. If this request fails, so do not execute this. Jump to some other. Okay, so jumping is happening. And this is very useful. It comes when you prepare the script. Sometimes there are some requests which you cannot fire if the previous request fails. There is no logic because dependency will be there. So that and you want to jump to another request which is not dependent on this. Understand? So in your script there can be some scenario where suppose you are firing a request and after that some requests are going or some transaction are going which are purely dependent on this request. And then there are some requests which are not dependent on this request. So if this request fail, we do not want to execute this. Directly jump to this. So then we can use this stuff there. If you use RSA here, RSA will completely stop. Whole. Means it will not jump here also. Right? So that typical difference is there between these two scenarios. Okay. So fine. This is all about if control. We'll see more moving forward. So tomorrow we'll talk on while control. Thank you for attending.
Hi, Vicky. Can you stay there for a